Good evening, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We're going to give everybody time to get on tonight before we get started. So, we're going to ask everybody to share this live, share it if you're on YouTube, share it if you're on Facebook, and we'll do that while we're waiting to get started. I have some special guests tonight. I'm excited to have everybody here tonight. How's everybody doing tonight? Come on in. Share, tag, share. If you know somebody that needs this, please share this live. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining. I can't see you, but thank you for joining. Thank you for everyone on Facebook. We're going to give everybody a few minutes. Hey, Latoya. Good evening, good evening. Y'all got my pastor here. How about that?
Yeah.
I got my Mama G. Y'all gonna hear Mama G tonight. This official Elder Gail stuff. That's her name, but she Mama G to me, so. Y'all share. Hey, Lenata. Hey, First Lady. Jakeisha. Y'all on, ain't you? Let's go. Thank y'all for joining. We're just giving people time to get on. We're going to give people a few minutes to get on. Hey, Lizzie. I'm going to stop calling your names because if I miss you, we don't want no grief. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, everybody. Please share this live. If you're on YouTube, share it on your social media. If you're on Facebook, share it to your pages. All right.
Can't find it on YouTube. On Facebook, it won't come up.
Destination Freedom. Go to. Hey. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Destination Freedom with Shazia Pay. I have two very, very, very special guests tonight. I have my pastor, Bishop Michael Penn, and then I have my bestest friend, Elder Gail. So our topic tonight is overcoming grief. We'll start the podcast as soon as we come back. Thank you for joining us. All right, good evening. Thank you again for joining us tonight. Tonight's topic is overcoming grief. As we know, there's been a lot of deaths going on, a lot of losses going on, especially since the pandemic. A lot of people are dealing with grief at an enormous rate. So we wanted to talk about it from both a human aspect, but from a spiritual aspect. I got my bishop on tonight because he's experienced a lot of death in his immediate family. And I've got Gail on because she expressed even not being able to grieve, going through a situation. So we're going to talk from an aspect. Sometimes we don't think that as pastors, ministers, and leaders that we don't have feelings or we don't understand what everybody else is going through. And I know we always say, you know, we don't sorrow as those that have no hope, which is the truth. However, we're still human.
Right.
And
Amen.
our emotions are, you know, still work just like everybody else. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Grief is a natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Often the pain of loss can feel overwhelming. You may experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions, from shock or anger to disbelief, guilt, and profound sadness. And we're going to talk about grief of loved ones, financial grief, grief, relationship grief, when you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your divorce. We will be coming from the spiritual and the human aspect, and we're just going to talk real tonight, all right?
Good.
So I have my pastor, Bishop Michael Penn,
Yeah.
here tonight. I'm so happy to have you, Bishop. Thank
God
you
bless
for
you.
coming
I love you,
on.
girl.
I
Thank
love
you.
you too, Bishop. So can you just talk and just tell us everything that you've been through in the past year and a half, and just give us you, Bishop.
Wow. It's amazing. For the last year and a half, I think we experienced 10 people in our immediate family, including my mom and my father-in-law. And my mom passed away, had a major heart attack in the backseat of my vehicle. And my daughter and I and the rescue squad did CPR on her, and she didn't make it. And then 6 weeks later, on Easter Sunday morning last year, my father-in-law passed with a massive heart attack. And my brother-in-law was doing CPR and I on him, and he didn't make it. And in between that time, we lost aunts and uncles and first cousins back to back.
And you said, yeah, real close kin.
Real close kin, back to back. 10, at least 10 immediate people. Unexpected, some of them unexpected. 2 from COVID, but it was shocking. Mm-hmm. You know, I've read about people experiencing loss, you know, being a pastor for 20 plus years now and doing funerals, but when it hits your home, it's different and gives you a different perspective. And now even preaching, I see it different.
Yes.
You know, when you have sit in that seat on that front row, and you're facing the casket and it's closed for the last time, all thoughts go through your mind that as a preacher I never could convey, even though I don't know what that person feels like, but everybody's different. But it was just strange, you know. My mind was all over the place.
Because I remember you saying when your mom passed, it was like you were not okay, but you were okay until it was time to get up and preach.
Yeah, we were sitting there, and I was like, okay, I've been praying and God, you got me. And then when they called me up to do the eulogy, when I stood up, it hit me again, and I had to pray right before I preached, just inwardly, just for a moment. Give me about 10, 15 seconds, let me get myself together. And God came in and comforted me and allowed me to preach. And at that moment, it was needed because my family needed me in that role, in that role, because they needed my brother, who was not saved, and they needed me in the natural, you know. And but it was I'm gonna say it's different. It's still different to this day. I have my moments. Where, matter of fact, I can say this: I went to the Barn Dinner Theater in Greensboro a few weeks ago, and there was a lady there. She looked just like my mom.
Wow.
You know, I had a moment because I like, man, that's her mannerism, her movements look like my mom.
Wow.
And I even asked her, could I take a picture with her? But it was just, for me, it was just helping me with the grieving process, you know? Yeah.
Because you have to still go on as a pastor through your grief.
Through it all.
Through your, So what was your process, or what is your process?
Well, what people don't tell you before I go there is this. There's the business side of grieving.
Wow. Go ahead.
And nobody talks about the business side of grieving.
That's the truth.
The business side of grieving, because now we got to do the obituary. You know, we have to go to the funeral home and do the process of the obituary and the cost and all this. And they will let my daddy be 87 this year. So they looking to me to make all those decisions. Like, okay, Mike, what are we going to do? Mike, what are we going to do? Now, I'm still preparing to preach.
Yes.
I preached on that Sunday that she passed on
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday, I
yeah.
preached the next day.
Wow.
So life was still going on. I couldn't stop doing what I'm called to do, my assignment. So again, that side. So grieving process sometimes is held off. It's held off.
Wow.
It's suppressed until I can breathe. And then when you do breathe, some people don't understand it. Like,
Because they expect you to be superhuman.
yeah. And I'm like, but and then somebody asked me, how do you feel? Because you haven't shown any emotion. Well, I couldn't, at the time. And, but I was different with my mom because I kind of knew where she was, and she had been suffering for so long on and off that there's a place also that you hate to see them leave you, but you hate to see them struggling too.
Yes.
And that's
real.
difficult.
That's real.
You're torn. Yeah.
Wow. And I feel you. I talked about it on my last podcast when my grandmother died, and she raised me.
Wow.
So it was like 1 week where I called her every day, every single day. I was living in New York. I called her every single day. And one day she said, I'm not going to be here always, just out of the blue. And she would say stuff like that from time to time. I'm not going to be here always. But that time it was different. She was like, no, Shasta. I was like, Grandma, oh, you're going to be here. You're going to live longer than me. And she said, no, I need you to realize I'm not going to be here always.
Right.
2 weeks later, we found out she had a massive cancer on her colon.
Wow.
She did a colonoscopy. We found out she had the cancer, and everything was like this from then on. She went in and had the surgery. She came out good, but I think she was leaking or something like that. They went back in, and she already had a weak heart. She already had a pacemaker, and they went back in, and she never came back from that. She had a massive stroke. She died that Saturday. But in that, like you're saying, now my aunt did most of the paperwork and everything, but I can feel my grandma saying, I need you to be strong.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you have
Somebody
to be,
has- somebody
you
has
have
to
to
be.
be the strong one in this. And so I don't think I grieved until later on. It's like, I'm gonna be the strong one. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna, but it was until later on I was like, oh, she's not here. I went to dial her number one day, and I'm like,
It hits you.
it hit me. She's not here anymore.
I know.
So now it's like you got to live your life without the person that you've been with for 60 years, that's been there every day of your life for 60 years, or in my case, 30 years, and it was hard, but it's possible with God.
Yeah.
God helps us through it all. And I think y'all were talking, I'm going to let y'all talk as far as the denial. Like, did this really happen to me? How do I deal with it? Stuff like that. Gail,
Yes.
you told me, when I was talking about this episode when your nephew passed.
Yes. He passed. He was 12 years old. And his mom was a single parent at that time. And she had 2 other kids. But it was like we lost our first little boy. And he was my dad, his little right hand. He was just the little boy in the family. And now he's gone. But it was an accident. So now we weren't prepared to lose him. But then everybody in my family, they thought I was the strong one. So when it happened, they called me. I got to go and tell my parents that they done lost their little grandboy. Then I got to go and comfort his mama because she was all to pieces. And now he's got nieces. He got cousins and aunts and everybody and his sister. All of them falling apart. And I had to hold all of them together. Not only that, we had people coming from the outside in trying to harass her because of the way the child died. Then we got people coming in trying to plan his funeral, his arrangements, his death over top of the mama. So it was a time that you don't have time to grieve. I didn't really come to the knowledge of the truth that the baby was gone until I came to the funeral and saw him laying in the coffin. And now I got to look at my baby, and I got to look at them getting ready to put him in the ground, and I haven't even had a chance to cry. So then at the funeral, I didn't get that opportunity because I got to hold up my babies. I got to hold them up because they were all the pieces. We go to the grave, I got to hold them up because they were all the pieces. Now, by the time I get home, I'm too tired. And I can't think about that. But then they tell me that, Gail, you're the strong one in the family. You got to do this and you got to do that. I don't consider myself so strong, but I consider myself confident because I know God don't let anything happen that's wrong. And I know that I got to comfort them because they didn't understand. So now, later on, down the road, when things started happening and I started being depressed and I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on with me. I'm trying to figure out why am I so depressed. And then I got to talk to my friend Elder Jane. And Elder Jane said, Gail, I need you to help me teach grief classes.
Wow.
When I got into grief classes, when I realized that I was going through the process. Now, I got to teach it to other people, but God was taking me through. Now, I'm trying to figure out why. Why was this depression on me? Why was I feeling bad and nothing was going on? And then I realize now I'm grieving. It doesn't matter what it is, if the loss is devastating in your life, whether it be a family member, whether it be a divorce, whether it be a loss of a job, whatever it is, our body takes us through a process.
Wow.
Our mind and our heart, God has built us so that He's got things, sensors, and He's got protectors, and He's got defenses set up in our bodies and our lives and our mind and our heart, so that when something happens, our body automatically goes through a process. But the good part about the process is anything. Once you learn the process, you understand why you got to go through. And when the Bible says that we don't sorrow like people with no hope. We know our hope is in Christ.
Right.
But we're still in a flesh suit.
Right.
So we got to understand that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to go through the process. But we can determine how long we stay in the slippery slope.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. That's good.
Because if we understand how God works and how much He loves us, and that we do have hope, then we don't have to stay in a depressed state.
Right.
And we don't have to stay at the bottom of the slippery slope.
So you're saying that's a choice, even though the hurt is real, even though everything that you're going through is real, your process to go through it, the time frame and everything is a choice. You got to make. Go ahead, Bishop.
Well, I told you that when I was praying this morning, when God had shared with me the 3 P's, like this, there's the pain, and then He said that can be a prison,
Yes.
but then that's peace.
There you go.
So the pain is the initial response to this, but if the pain doesn't leave you, it lingers, it can put you in a prison.
That's right.
I know some people now that have suffered grief in the last 2 years, 3 years, and still it seems like it happened yesterday to them.
Wow.
I know a particular person who quit work, is not hardly eating. His family had to take him meals. He's not cleaning up. He won't wash his car. He won't do almost anything. So his life now is like a prison to him because he's stuck in his grief.
Wow.
And not knowing that God said, I can give you peace in the middle of the storm.
And He will.
And He will, but it's a choice, that person's choice.
Exactly.
God has given us the key to get out of prison.
Say
It's
it.
Jesus. Jesus said, call on Him.
That's what He
Cast your
said.
cares on Him because I
Right.
care for you.
For you.
Right.
Keep your mind stayed on Him. I keep you in perfect peace.
Yeah.
But see, people don't know that.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, the difficult part is this. I don't know if I
ahead,
shared
Bishop.
this, because with me being a pastor and we were going through, and the 10 people that I'm talking about, I preached all of their funerals.
Wow.
Yeah.
All 10.
All 10.
And kept preaching
That-
here.
and kept preaching here. But what people didn't realize, we had probably just as many funerals in our church as I did in my family outside of here.
Because I was going to talk about in the past year and a half, including your mom, we've lost 5 church mothers.
So when I'm going to their houses, I'm sitting down with them going over the business process and the grieving process. But nobody even considers how you feel.
Right.
True.
You understand? So maybe your call is late, or maybe you overwhelmed. Nobody don't consider that part of it.
Yeah.
You as a pastor, but you're supposed to be here for me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I understand too, because we're visiting people who are grieving, and we're asking them questions and trying to get them through the slippery slope where they saying you all right.
You're all right.
Yeah, we don't need to do that for you.
But we have our moments where, we're struggling.
Yes.
Because when grief works strange, because I could be at your house and going through something, and you say one word.
And it's a trigger.
Or I see one thing, it's a trigger. And now I got to catch myself.
Yeah, you do.
I got to catch myself and get back in composure.
Get back in.
Because
Yes.
it takes you there.
Yes.
So you're not allowed as a pastor from the perception of people, you're not allowed as a pastor to show your grief or to show your process.
With certain people. Let me say that.
People. Okay.
Thank God I have you and I have the Gales and my wife and my immediate family they know you well enough that you can let your guard down and be just you. But some people hold those things against you.
They do.
I thought you were strong. I
They
thought you
see
were
it as
spiritual.
weakness.
It's not weakness. Gail said we're human.
We're human. Exactly.
You have those moments. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know that.
That's why I wanted you to talk, because from a pastor's point of view,
It's a little different.
it's a little different from, the average person. Like, everybody hurts, but you have so much on your plate. You have so many people that you have to deal with and touch every day. Your phone is ringing off the hook.
Well, check this out. This is another part. So when I'm a grandfather now, so I got birthday parties and things to do in family. So, and I got deaf over here and a deaf over here. I had to go to rights, but I got on shorts in a just a regular shirt, polo. So Bishop came to the wake and he had on shorts. You got to deal with the chatter. And I'm like, I'm not concerned about that. After all I've been through, I don't care what you said about me.
Right.
I got to leave this and go to a birthday
Go
party
to a birthday
for a
party.
kid that's 2 years old.
Right,
You see what I'm saying?
right.
But nobody don't give you the grace. I can't believe they'll talk about more what you had on than you did. You sacrificed
Then
to
you
come
showing
over.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to leave your family event to come to show and still go back to where you had to be. Yeah, at the same time.
That is crazy. You got to be strong to do this. Be strong in God. So teach us, Bishop. Just give us some encouragement, because we shared all of our stories. But I want y'all to talk. You know how we do on Monday mornings.
Right.
I want y'all to talk and encourage people, because we still have hurting people on here, still, very hurt, grieving, maybe recent loss. And like I said at the beginning, it may be the loss of a family member, but it may have been somebody going through a divorce that's grieving and don't even know that. Like you said, I'm grieving. I'm actually grieving that loss or loss of jobs and stuff like COVID. People lost their jobs or people lost money or whatever. Y'all help us
Lost their
encourage the
freedom,
people.
and you stuck in the house and you can't get out because everything is shut down. That's grief.
Grief.
If you're used to living your life openly, now you can't.
Yeah.
Grief.
So either one of y'all go. I want y'all to come
Gail
in.
says the process. Elder Gail says the process.
Let me explain the process as we learned it. The first step of the process, after the point of, I'm going to say any casualty, the first step is denial. Okay, first thing happens is our defenses come up, and we want to deny that this even happened. I know my husband didn't die. I know I didn't lose my job. I've been there forever. Mm-hmm. God wouldn't have took my husband. He was living right. He didn't do anything. He wasn't sick. Mm-hmm. So in your mind, this didn't even happen. I can't face that it did, so I'm in denial that it didn't. The next step is anger. Now I'm mad because now I'm by myself. I got to live by myself. I got to figure this thing out. Half of my money is gone. What am I going to do? This is not right. It shouldn't have happened to me. I'm a tither. I do what I'm supposed to do. And now God just done forgot about me. Why did God take my husband anyway? Why did he let me lose my job? Now the next step you go to, you bargaining. Well, God, if you do this, I'll do that. Well, you start bargaining then, well, I guess it'll be all right. I can do this or I can do that. Now you bargaining with everything, trying to figure this thing out. And then if that doesn't work, now you're getting into a depression. You depressed. Pastor said prison. You in prison because you depressed. Now you don't understand it. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to let it go. Ain't nobody paying attention to you no more. When I done lost my husband, I done lost everything. Don't nobody care what I'm going to do. Don't nobody care if I ain't got this, I ain't got that, I ain't got no money. Don't nobody care. Ain't nobody looking at me. They ain't even calling me no more. Well, they used to ask me about me, and they asked about him, but they ain't asked about me. Don't nobody care. So you get yourself worked up into a depression like you're not important anymore. Everything rested on him, and nothing rests on you. You still got to live.
Yeah.
So you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But if you get into that depression and you can't get out, now you got to get you some help. You got to get counseling. You need to talk to somebody who can help you because it sucks you in. If you don't have a good godly friend or mentor or pastor or go to a group, get in a group session. They used to say now, when you get depressed, you got to do something about it because if you've gotten depressed, you've gone too far. And if you stay in it too long, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But then if you get out of that depression, you get your help. The next thing is acceptance. Now, I have to accept what happened to me, knowing that God didn't do anything wrong because I got to continuously live my life. I've got to accept it and make me a plan to live my life to the fullest till it overflows.
I like that.
Yeah. And then you start forgiving.
Teach, Kim.
You forgive God, you forgive yourself, and you forgive everybody around you. And now you got a new beginning. But you go through that process, and you got to know at any step of that process is real. You got to understand that we are human, that we hurt, that we're going to overcome because God promised us that we would. But you still got to understand the process. I learned something when I first joined this church. And Pastor Penn became the pastor. He said, when you first join, everything is open to you because you all excited.
It's a honeymoon.
It's a honeymoon.
Yeah.
He said, but the honeymoon is going to be over soon. And now real life is going to come in. Now, if you know the honeymoon is going to be over and you know real life is coming, then you can prepare yourself for that. The same thing about life and death. If you know death or loss is coming, you have to prepare yourself. You got to understand. You got to talk about it. See, we don't talk about it. We try to keep it to ourselves. We don't talk about what'll happen if this happens. My daddy 95, my mama 85. Reality is they're on the end, the beautiful end of their lives. But if we don't talk about, Dad, what is it that you want? How do you want to live the rest of your life?
Right.
Do you want to do this? He said he going to live till he 100, and I know he will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, he will. I'm declaring it today. But if he doesn't, we got to know how to handle his business.
Right.
We got to know how to give him what he wanted and to give him the dignity that he wants, even in death.
Right.
Right.
So we have to discuss these things. And as a people, sometimes we try to not talk about it. But you got to talk about it. You got to talk about the process.
Right.
And I like what Pastor said. If you want to be in prison, you can stay in prison. But if you don't want to be in prison, you can get out.
Right.
Get out.
You can.
Right.
And find that peace that God promised us.
Right. So even like, let's say a divorce or something like that, or broken relationships, that's the same thing. You have to choose to forgive and to move on and to set yourself free. And go ahead, Bishop.
Well, I got some points to
Come on.
Go ahead.
to code with Gail. Number one, we have to be honest with our emotions.
Yes.
They're real.
Right.
Be honest with God, be honest with yourself and others that are close to you.
Right.
Yes.
Because you can't keep denying those things. They're real. I found out that when people live a facade, eventually it's going to blow up.
Right.
You know, you told me about an incident where, You had a mask on. People wear masks, especially in churches. But when reality hits and you get hurt so bad, the mask got to go.
Mask gotta go.
If you want help. So number 2, run to where you can find help.
Yes.
So, I say seek God. So people ask me, how do you do it, Bishop? How do you do it? God. Bottom line is I have you guys. My wife is my number 1. But you still have to have God first in your life, that when you're still away all by yourself. For me, it's in the bathroom. It's on my couch by myself when I can just talk to God. And I can't. This is a struggle. You know. Number 3, don't fall into grief traps. What do you mean by that? Because church need to hear this. Non-folk need. How do I deal with these? Because the devil says you're hurting.
Yes.
So what comes up then is,
Pity.
come on now, I'm telling you, hidden traps. Alcohol, drugs, girlfriend, boyfriend, things to alleviate the pain.
Or to take your mind off.
Take your mind off of it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm in church. I can't do all of that. But you're struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Behind the scenes.
and you have behind the scenes, and you haven't went to God. You know, because I haven't told him how it feels. You know, I'm just doing church. So now I got to sneak and do something to alleviate the pain.
You helping us.
You know, so all of a sudden I find myself drinking again, smoking again. You know, you're cursing again. You got short temper.
Sleeping around.
You're sleeping around because I need to feel good. You see,
that's real.
So next step is to open myself up to help.
Yes.
Let somebody know that I'm struggling.
Yes.
I got to let you know. You know, I know that I've got 2 or 3 people that I can tell that. Listen, I don't like this, and I don't like this. You know, and then I've learned to always be thankful. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Be thankful in all things." In the midst of it, faith says I got to be thankful.
In the midst of it.
In the midst of it. So how can I be thankful in the middle of it? God, you're going to use this to build me to get what you were saying, that I now can help other people.
I now can help somebody else.
I'm helping people at a whole nother level now because I understand the process at a whole different perspective.
Right.
Because you've been through it now.
Right.
Now everybody's makeup is different, but still I can sympathize and have empathy with you now more so than I did before, because I'm like, get over it. Well, it's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
We can say, just get over it. Just get over it. Life goes on. Well, life does go on, but I'm struggling because when you go, I watched my dad, who was married to my mom for 63 years, and go home every day by himself. Nobody's in the house.
Nobody.
My daddy, my mom and him have a dog that we gave him, a little bitty, a Shih Tzu dog, a little small dog, weighed 5 pounds. And my daddy couldn't stand having that dog in the house. But my mama needed the dog because my daddy was always outside working, and my mom had comfort when she was sick a lot with the dog in the house. Made him stay in one room, but she just had a little dog. Now my mom is gone. I go through the house now. The dog is with my daddy. I'm watching now. My daddy's got the dog. Is on his eating out of his lap and stuff that he never thought he would do. But he's lonely. You see, so you find yourself. So, but the next step: don't neglect spiritual habits. Don't neglect them. Don't neglect your prayer time. Don't neglect your fellowship time. Don't neglect your time in church. Right. A lot of people stop coming.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
I don't want to be around nobody. Well, you need to be around other people, because God will send somebody to help you. The least expected person can say one thing,
and that'll help you so much.
It can help you so much.
It will.
It'll help you so much, because somebody will say, I don't know what you're going through, but I've been through it. And it helps you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you celebrate. You celebrate their life now. As Gail was saying, I'm watching you, Gail, talk about them be even now 95 years old.
Yeah.
But you also learn to celebrate that even after.
Yes, you do.
I said, well, my mom was 83, almost 84, and I'm burying people that are in their 30s and 20s, and you said 12. So God, I thank you that she made it to 83, almost 84.
She did.
Yeah.
You see, after 14 major surgeries, but she still was here. We got to see her and be with her. But I celebrate because I get to see her again.
Come on, you do.
Know where they are. So now I got to bring kingdom in there.
That's your hope.
That's it.
That's my hope. I know to be absent from the body, be present with the Lord.
Present with the Lord.
And so when she's with the Lord, if I die, I'm going to be with the Lord. So I see you again.
Eternity. Yeah.
That's the comfort that we have as brothers and sisters in Christ, knowing that I don't like it that we separated, but I will see you again
Exactly.
if you're born again.
That's
And-
the beauty of it.
And then last one is this: let somebody help you.
Yes.
Give them permission to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I said something to you a while back. I said to you, Shasta, this was a couple of years ago. I think you were going through something, and I said, let me help you. Give me permission, because I found out when I try to help some people, Gail, they get mad, they get angry, they reject you. But when you give me the permission to help you,
That's real.
you understand?
Sometimes when
Talk
you try
about that. How when you went through that,
Yeah, well, I wasn't used to it, first of all.
right?
And I had a guard up for people. I didn't trust people because I
Right.
always thought that people wanted something from me.
Right.
So even opening myself up to allow y'all to help me was a process. But in that, I've grown so much because I have that wisdom constantly coming in, where Shasta, what do you think about this? Or you don't need to do this, or you don't need to do that, or you need to step it up here, or you need to step it up there. You need to stop buying shoes, or you can't be, messing around or something like
Right.
that. Y'all too have helped me in a tremendous way. And I always say that we have God first, but I feel like God gives you people in the earth realm to help you. And I thank God that y'all are my two people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Y'all are my go-tos. 11 o'clock at night, Gil, I got a problem.
Call.
I need to talk through it because that's just me. I'm the type of person that I need to talk through it, because if not, I'll hold it and I'll let it fester. Now, and thinking I'm not holding stuff, I prided myself on not holding grudges until I can say, be honest with you and I.
Yeah.
And we had a situation to
I'm
where
like, I didn't know.
and I was holding stuff for years, and I'm like, I was holding grudge. I was holding a grudge, but it was grief too. It was a burden. It was depression. It was bringing me down. But I thank God that we were able to bounce back. It was no animosity whatsoever.
No.
Even with, I was very snappy.
Well, we had that conversation.
Yeah,
though.
I was very snappy.
You
I
know.
was very defensive.
But I had to tell you that.
You did. You had
I'm
to
like,
tell
I'm
me.
like, Shasta, come on now. When we talk, you sitting up on the edge of your chair.
And that's my go-to. Gail laughed at me because I'm like, I learned how to fight.
But Gail said, you are doing that, Shasta. In other words, because you looked at her for affirmation. Well, is he, what do you say is true?
Yeah.
Gail said, yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
you were doing this, so I had to chill.
Yeah.
I had to check myself. But that's a reality even through your process. You have to check yourself. You have to check yourself to see that you're depressed, that you're snappy, that you're defensive or whatever. But let's go back to giving people permission to speak into you.
See, it's a big difference.
It's a big difference because everything somebody's saying is not an attack. And sometimes I think even in grief or in the hurt process, people take it's always an attack. Or what you say, touch me nots.
Right.
You can't help people because everything is you coming for me.
Right.
You coming for me. You attacking my character. You attacking my heart. It's not always like that.
It's a hurtful thing for a pastor or minister or even your brothers and sisters in Christ when they want more for you than what you want for yourself.
Part.
They want you better and you want to stay where you are, and it's hard. It's hard talking to people. It's hard ministering to people when they don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I told you earlier? I said, give me permission. Now, some people say, well, you the pastor. Well, yes, but years ago that worked.
That worked, but it's not the way of the world
Not
now.
today. Just because I'm your pastor, they don't give you right to speak into their life.
Mm-hmm. That's real.
They don't, not today. So we honor and respect pastors back then, Gail. But today, no. So I asked you, I said, let me be that person. Let me be honest with you. And then you said, okay.
If you say okay, it's okay.
It's
So I
okay.
said, that's on there. It's gonna hurt. I said, that's gonna hurt. Yeah.
And y'all say hard stuff. Even in the midst of whatever. When I lost my car, y'all had to say some hard stuff to me to help me so I won't go that route again. And so I was grieving losing that. I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know I was grieving losing my car or I done this so many times. You understand what I'm saying? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? It's because of grief, or it's because of loss, or it's because of bad decisions. I made bad decisions, and I needed y'all to help me get back on
But
track.
listen to what you just said. Some grief is just life, but some grief we bring on ourselves. And that's difficult when you know that you are responsible for the grief.
Can I say something?
Wow.
I called myself in love with a person, with this man. Lord, I love this man, y'all. I did. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And Gail looked at me in my eyes and said, how many times you going to go through this test? It was 2 times in my life that people had been in my life for a greater part of my life. And she said, how many times are you going to fail this test? And I'm like, I ain't even see it like that. You know, how many times are you going to keep opening up your heart to let this person come in? And this was a relationship-wise. How the hope of this is going to be my husband eventually one day. But the reality was that's not what he wanted.
Right.
And I kept failing the test because every time he came back in my life,
You let him in.
I let him in. And so every time he came back in my life, it didn't work. I grieved. I grieved that hurt. So it's hard for a male person to come into my life and try to love me.
And who don't want
nothing from me. You not, have no expectations of me, but for me to be better, it's hard for me to let somebody come in like you and accept it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Accept that genuine love.
Because you think they want
because
something.
I think you want something, or I think that you're gonna leave me just like
you're
gonna leave me just like they did.
See.
And then once you go through that for all of your, most of your life,
a man leaving you. That's great.
I give you my time, I give you my heart, I give you my conversation. Sometimes I give you my money, I give you my body.
Yeah.
And now
you
gone. Now I'm grieving that. I'm grieving that, and I'm fighting that because I'm not used to a solid person in my life, especially a male person. So that was grief for me. So you come in saying I want to help you, I'm like, nah, I ain't. I'm rejecting it
and knowing that I don't want nothing.
Right. Your intentions were pure. Always been pure, but for me it was like I can't take it. I don't want it. I was rejecting it and didn't know why I was rejecting it.
Right.
Didn't even realize it to this moment that it was grief. Wow. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about it. It was grief. I'm grieving the fact that I keep letting people come in and hurt males come in and hurt you. Or I'm giving my heart to you. I'm opening up my heart for you to come in, and now you leaving me again. Or the next person come up, that phobo, fear of better options.
Say that again.
Phobo, fear of better options. He won't commit to me because he's keeping his options open for the next person that's going to come.
That's what's going on.
And that's what's going on.
And that's what's going on. And that causes a lot of problems for a lot of women. They don't understand. And most women settle for just having him there for the time they got him.
And he's moving on.
And he's moving on
because he
got so many options.
He got so many options. But when you need advice, you're calling on me. When you need an answer to a problem.
Some money.
Prayer.
You need prayer. I need you to pray for me. I'm going through and I'm constantly allowing myself. So I want to say to people out there, I'm not just saying women, men too. We got to stop doing that to ourselves. So that way we can heal and move forward from that particular type of grief. That grief of relationships or, like you said, bad choices. Self-inflicted grief.
Yeah.
And we do it. Self-inflicted grief when you can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Like you can't stop eating, but now you're in pain. But now you're hurting and you're grieving the fact that you can't go here, you can't do things that you used to be able to do. You can't run, you can't walk, you can't, have fun or whatever. Now you like, woe is me. Because you're making bad decisions. Wow. Even in your eating habits.
So even to make a transition is grief.
It's grief.
Right.
Yeah, and you never think of it as grief. We think of grief as
because you're giving up something.
Yeah,
you're losing something.
You're losing something.
You're losing something.
Yeah, wow. But you never think of it like that. You never think of it as you just think of grief when you lose a person physically, but you never think of it in that aspect.
And then see, most of the time, if it's self-inflicted, we stick in that bargaining part. We bartering. Now, if I do this, I'm going to do that. If I can do this, I can do that. God, if I do this, will you do that? Now you're bargaining. You steady bargaining, and you're not moving.
Don't bargain with God.
Don't bargain with him.
Don't bargain with God.
Man, Bishop, you preached it today. Believe in God for greater. Man, once you believe and then you ask him to help thou my unbelief, and then you make a choice to move forward to greater, that's a choice too.
But see, the problem is, and when he was preaching today, I was thinking, the problem is everybody now wants everything automatic.
Yeah.
They want it instantly. And they thinking the unbelief is the fact that it hasn't happened yet. God, I believe you can do it.
Right.
But it's not happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do in between?
Yeah. God, I believe God, but it's not happening for me. Why is it taking so long for me? Everybody else getting it.
Then you start making stuff happen. Then you create an issue.
Ishmael's
Create
name.
an Ishmael.
Now
You
done
start creating
caused
the
a whole
Ishmael.
nother
Create
problem.
Ishmael. Yeah, you got another
Yeah.
problem.
Now you got another problem. You got to deal with that a lot for your lifetime.
Because waiting is grief.
Waiting
Let's go,
is
Bishop.
grief.
Waiting for years.
Yeah.
You know, in this ministry, we have a lot of women that are waiting for spouses, relationships, and they're grieving because they don't have anybody. And then they will see a good relationship in front of them in the ministry, and now they go home, they're grieving. Because
Yeah.
I want that.
They do. But
Yeah.
they've been hurt so many times they're afraid.
Yeah.
And that's a bad place to
That's
be.
a bad place to be, because now your hope is in another like solely in that person making you happy.
But they need that sermon we had this morning. That just made my heart happy, because even though we believe, even though we're moving on in Christ, you need to know that God got you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's
You need to know. You need to be revived with that God got you.
God got
see,
you.
that's been my resolution, Gail, since 1997.
Yeah.
When God visited me in a trance. Whenever I've gone through anything, I remember what he said.
What he said.
I got you.
I got you, God. He told me what was going to happen. I didn't know all the bad stuff that was going to happen, but the word that he gave me,
It gives you
he
confidence.
gave me confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And now even reading the word, that's what God said this, I believe it.
Yes.
You know, and he spoke to me in a trance, I believe the word also.
Believe the word.
I believe the word likewise. So now I can stand on the word. People say, how do you do that? No, I believe.
Yeah. But every now and then we need that injection.
Yeah, that God
Just
got
like
you
we got this
injection.
morning, because you can be going about doing busy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, just like when I'm talking about the grieving process, sometimes we get so busy doing the busy side. You said it's a business side of grieving.
It
Sometimes
is.
we get so caught up in the business side of life that we forget about ourselves. And when we come out, we don't even understand what we've been through.
Right.
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 So you've got to understand that through this process, you're going to be feeling different. You may act different. Your appetite going to change. Things about you are going to change. But it's okay because God got you.
Because God.
Now, if God has got you, which he does, that means we're growing up.
We're growing up.
Right.
See, that's the beauty of it
Yes.
is too, that I'm not the same person that I used to be.
Right.
Yes.
Now these things don't hurt as bad.
As bad,
I'm
right.
not hard, but they're not as bad because I'm growing up.
Because I know God got
I know
me.
God got me. See, Gail, I'm telling you, like today,
Yes.
and then every now and then, Lord help my unbelief,
Help my
because I can struggle. I'm still weak. I'm still a human.
Right.
But it takes God and it takes good friends. It takes a good strong ministry to say, no, God's got to get back on track.
Give him a little more, give him a little bit more time.
Give him a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
I have a confession.
Okay.
Bishop said this morning, any single women in here still waiting on the maiden you still want to raise your hand? I didn't.
You see?
And I'm being honest about it. I said, man, every time I raise my hand, I get me a counterfeit. Every
Look,
time I raise my hand, a
Even our producer is laughing.
every time I raise my hand, a counterfeit coming. I said, I ain't falling in that trap this time. I ain't gonna.
But without the obedience, you still won't get it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I missed
That's
it.
next week's sermon.
I missed it.
You have to have the obedience
Give
to
me
the
another chance,
instructions to get what God has promised you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even so, don't allow fear
Yeah.
to hold you back. That's an attack of the enemy.
Yeah.
I don't care if I got to do it every time. No, I still believe God.
Right.
Just
You
thank
gotta- I
God for
still-
discernment.
I still believe. I still believe God. Versus saying I'm not going to do that because I got hurt again. Well, no, that's fear now speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not faith. Faith
not
says, God, I don't care. It didn't work 10 times. This time it's going to work.
This time it's gonna work. I got you. And Gail said, when you fall in love, I guess we on the topic, y'all. When you fall in love, you take a risk of your heart being broken, and you won't ever be able to experience that love if you don't take that risk. But it's faith.
It's
too.
faith.
It's another word for faith.
It is.
Like, I have faith enough to believe that God has somebody for me that He made just for me, and that
You
He's
gotta
gonna
risk
find
your heart
I
to
gotta
get
risk
it.
my heart to get it. So You got to take.
But Gail said something very important, which we never talk about, is discernment. When those kind of sermons come, I'm obeying you, God. But now when the flood of guys come, 2 or 3, whatever it is, I need to discern now, not just take anything that comes. I'm so hungry for one. I take whatever. No, I'm discerning now.
God, show me.
Show me the red flags.
Yes.
Show me the red flags.
Up front.
And give me the strength to bag back.
And we go back to it. I pray that prayer from the jump. Lord, if this is you, show me, make it work. If it's not you, shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down before I get too deep in it.
Yeah, no, we prayed that.
And that prayer works.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
We prayed that when we got to
sometimes
this
you might
ministry.
be afraid to pray it because you might actually, hey, I like this person.
Yeah.
But no, Lord, if it's your will, it may not be for you.
Well, we know that's a confession. Gail, no, we made that decision. We get ready to purchase a place for this ministry.
We did.
A new building. We had a earnest money on a place. I came back before the church and prayed, if God, if it's not your will, shut it down. And some guys got mad at me. I said, no, deep down, I'm not sure. And God shut. When I say shut it down, He shut it down.
He shut it
Quick
down.
too.
Quick too. Yeah.
So, but we didn't have to grieve over.
But we
doing
didn't.
the
We didn't
wrong
grieve.
thing.
Now we shouted.
We did.
Hey God, I asked you.
Thank
You
you,
shut it
God.
down.
And then look what he blessed us with.
Look what He blessed us with.
Yeah. I have a comment right here that's really good based on what you said. God has you true indeed, but you must also have yourself too.
That's good.
Strength comes from within. If you as the person don't take care of you, hold on, let me go back. If you as the person don't take care of you, it will be a long journey before you find out that God had you the whole time. He was just waiting on you to find you. That was good.
That's good.
That's good.
Yes, that was.
But that's one of my points, that don't neglect your spirituality in the process of it. Stay strong, stay healthy.
Stay strong, stay healthy.
Yeah, so you can be healthy and strong. So when those things come your way, that I'm not in fear.
Right.
I'm not afraid that what God is speaking to me.
Exactly.
And
you'll be able to receive the love, the guidance, the help, everything that comes along.
And as Gail said, just talking about grief, it's going to happen to all of us. If rapture doesn't take place, we're going to experience some more.
We're going to experience it.
So we have to ask God, don't make me hard.
Right.
But God, make me pliable. Make me to the place where you can still use me in the midst of all of this.
Help me understand, too.
Yeah.
Help me understand the process. Because if God promised us that we don't sorrow like those with no hope, then I know I got hope, but I still need help with the process.
But you still need help with the process.
So, and then
That's
give me
real.
the strength to ask.
Right.
Like you said, ask for help.
Right.
If you need help, ask for help. Seek help.
Right.
Because I think that's where people hurt the most. They try to be strong, and they don't think they should be hurting.
Right.
Because they see themselves as stronger than what they actually are.
That's really good.
And they don't ask for help. But you need help. You need to ask for it. And then know that it's always help out there for you. And then know this too, that joy comes in the morning.
Yeah.
Joy comes in the morning.
Now, can I give y'all some revelation on that scripture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all ready for this? Joy comes in the morning. When does morning start?
Right at midnight.
12:01.
When it's dark.
It's still dark.
Still dark. Don't even look.
Don't
like
wait for the light to come to experience the joy.
Exactly.
Joy comes in the middle of the
Before
night.
the sun starts
It's
shining.
still dark. I'm still in
Come on,
it.
Bishop.
But I can have joy while I'm still in it.
In the dark. That's right.
That's good stuff.
And it's
That's
coming.
good stuff.
Light is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
but
good
He shows
stuff.
up in the darkness.
He shows up in the dark.
He shows
That's
up
what
in
I'm
the
talking
darkness.
about.
Come
Say it
on.
again.
He shows up
Light
in the
shows
darkness.
up in the darkness.
In the darkness.
Thank
And
you,
most of the
Jesus.
time, that's when we really get to know God.
In the dark place.
In the darkness.
In the dark places.
Good.
That's when we pray.
Think about it. Go back. Y'all, I don't want to preach, but
Come
when
on,
he
Bishop.
met Saul, he
Yes.
blinded him,
Mm-hmm.
made him in the dark
Put
place.
him in the dark place.
Joseph had to go to a pit in a dark place.
Come on, Bishop.
Daniel Lions den, dark place. Most time God worked on people
Come on,
in
Bishop.
dark places.
In the dark place.
In
Come
Gideon in a wine press.
Come on.
In the wine
In,
press.
in,
In the
in
dark
a
place.
in a dark place. God takes us
Come
in a dark
on.
place. When you get in that place, you ought to be shouting. Guess
I
what?
know that's right.
I'm getting ready for
I'm
promotion.
getting ready for
Yeah,
Come on, joy.
yeah, I know it's
Joy
getting
is
ready
right
to
around the
happen.
Joy
corner.
coming in the
Come
morning.
It's getting ready to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
My
Lord.
joy is here.
I don't
joy
stay
is
there.
here.
I don't stay there.
Thank you, Jesus.
That's some good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This has really been good, y'all. Do y'all have any questions for Gail or Bishop, myself? Do y'all have anything before we end the live? I really appreciate y'all too
Love you
coming on.
guys.
Really, what y'all just did was tapped into what we do on Monday mornings.
Every Monday.
Every Monday morning when we meet, we do meet and we critique and everything, but we talk and we get impartation. I get imparted to every week, y'all. I'm blessed. I'm
We all
extremely
do.
blessed. And I want to tell y'all that publicly. I never take it for granted. The way y'all pour into me, the time that we get to spend together, I really do appreciate
That's
it.
just because we love you.
I love
You
y'all
know,
too.
but I likewise I take, I don't want to take y'all for granted.
Yeah.
You know, we go both ways, and I receive from you guys.
Yeah. And you don't get that from a
Yeah,
pastor,
you know.
especially a bishop.
Yeah.
Bishop ain't letting nobody speaking to him. He the bishop.
But y'all know what we do.
But you come in and say, what y'all think?
Yeah.
All the time.
And sometimes it's Gail and say, "You ready for it? You ready?" I say, yeah. Y'all let me have it, right?
Yeah.
But I give y'all the permission. Yeah.
But you do us the same
You
way.
do us
The
the
same
same
we
way.
love each other.
We want to be better.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Do y'all have any questions for us, for Bishop, for myself, for Gail? Sometimes we need a spiritual disconnection. Disconnect me from anything that won't give me light in a dark place.
Right.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
The darkest hour is just before dawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. Anybody else?
That's good.
Anybody? Well, I love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in out there on Facebook and YouTube. Next week, we coming back next week at 7 o'clock. Bishop, you're going to love this.
Oh.
Next week topic is living single, finding yourself in your singleness.
Ooh.
Finding yourself in your singleness. I'm going to have Brandon Wimbush.
Ooh.
And Mariah Moyer is going to be my guest. They're going to be my guest next Sunday. So y'all tune in next week at 7 o'clock. If y'all don't have any questions for us, we come in live to you from the Galilean House of Worship with my pastor, Bishop Michael Penn, and my homie, Elder Gail Hagwood. If y'all don't have anything else, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We pray that we did or said something that could help you tonight. If you have any questions or concerns, all three of us are open. Bishop's on Facebook, Bishop Michael Penn. Gail's on Facebook, Gail Niblett Hagwood. You can inbox us, talk to us, ask us any questions, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
Amen.
Amen.
We love y'all. Thank y'all again for tuning in to Destination Freedom with Shazia Pay. I will see you next Sunday. Have a great evening. Love y'all.
God bless you.